Welcome to QA Bootcamp. My name is Daniel Campbell. We're going to go ahead and get started. Going to do another live stream today instead of an actual crafted video because, I didn't actually write anything this week, so sorry about that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We'll go ahead and do Assassin's Creed today just because, the last time I did Saints Row, and that video got immediately flagged for a bunch of copyright issues because of the licensed music in the game. So that kind of sucks. So Assassin's Creed usually ends up getting flagged too, but for some odd reason the last couple times it has not. So we'll go ahead and roll with that. And I've been playing it lately anyway, so. Some people have been replying to the video saying that they're applying for QA jobs, which is great. I think that's awesome. Hopefully these videos help you some. Sorry if the video or audio is a little bit off. I've been trying to fiddle with the video and audio settings lately. Okay. I guess spoilers for this. Here, I'm going to turn up the audio on my thing real quick just so I can make sure the audio's coming through okay. Okay, yeah, it's working. All right. Actually, you know what? There is one thing different I would like to show you guys. I would like to make sure there's something different in each video instead of just me live streaming. All right, so one of the tools that I would recommend using is OBS. I use it for the streaming and the recording, but you can also use what's called the replay buffer. If you're testing a game on the PC, what you can do is you can set up the replay buffer, and basically that records, say, the last, X number of seconds that you're playing in the game. So, like, say if you're just playing along and suddenly you see a bug and it's not 100% reproducible, you don't know how it happened or anything like that, you can click a button on your mouse or whatever you have it bound to, and it will sort of dump that last, 10 seconds or however many seconds, here's the duration you can set, and then look at it and sort of decipher what happened and what possibly could have happened to help you reproduce the bug. Um, so yeah, that's super duper handy. I would recommend getting yourself familiar with something like this, or some people still use Fraps. It's like an old recording system for games on PC. It has a very similar setting. So yeah, and that's really handy because you can also attach those to the bug as well, which I frequently do. Attach those to the bug. So actually, I can go and start the replay buff. Oop, that's not what I meant to do. Start recording. There we go. Is it my middle button? Oh, there we go. All right, so I got the replay buffer going. And if I find something, I will hit the button again to save it. So anyway, that's it for that. That's the new thing. All right, so let's just go ahead and get to the QA part. Let's see. I will be let's do some mission testing today, because art testing does not make for great entertainment. I won't do any of the DLC story stuff just because I don't want to spoil any of the DLC, because it's not relatively, it's relatively new. Like, it's not super duper old, so I don't want to spoil that. But the main game, I feel like that's been out long enough. I can spoil it a little bit. Let's go do a family ordeal. Apparently my headphones are getting ready to die. They are beeping a lot. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. And I've changed bitrate settings, I've changed the resolution, I've changed a lot in the hopes that it will be better, because I actually didn't get a chance to watch last week's video, but it was commented that the stream quality was not so great. And I do live out in the middle of nowhere with probably one of the worst internet service providers you can imagine. But yeah. Should probably keep chat open in case somebody jumps in the chat. Hey, good to see you too, Jerry. There we go. All right. Yeah, I can't imagine these streams are going to be all that popular, but you know that's not why I do it. I do it to try and help people, you know, get QA jobs, or you know, people who are in QA to maybe learn something new, hopefully.
You think Odysseus had to take care of his... Alexios, I haven't seen you since you took me to the ruins of Odysseus.
Odessa, you remember?
Yes.
If anybody has any questions, please post them in the either the chat, or you can always leave them on the.
No wonder you're upset. You want to be out exploring, but you're stuck here.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Yeah, if it gets a little messed up, let me know. Like if it looks bad or something, I can try and tweak some settings. But yeah, you can leave questions in the comments or the chat or whatever, QA related, or you know, whatever you want to talk about, I guess.
I'm here to help. What do you need?
Even though I think it's just me and Jerry right now.
Also need a mixture from the market to combine with the herbs. There's a merchant there holding on to it for me.
Is your father really so sick you can't get him yourself?
I'm his only child. I'd rather be close by in case he gets worse.
Do you know what's wrong with him?
No, only that he's not getting better. The mixture and herbs I need may help with the pain at least.
If he dies, all his land will be yours, right?
Yes, but I'd sell it anyway. What better reason to leave everything behind and truly begin my quest, like Odysseus?
Right now I just set a 2000 bitrate. Oh, my upload speed, actual speed test. Not good. I want to say it's like 1.2 megabits last time last time I checked.
Stay by your father. I'll be back.
It's real not great.
Go on. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably the biggest issue that I face with my current ISP is that it's inconsistent. Like I could have really good, you know, upload and download speeds, like 1 minute and like 30 seconds. Out of every, like, you know, 5 minutes, it'll just completely crap out. I'm sorry to hear that, Jerry. Yeah, I mean, streaming's never really been a big, strong suit of mine, but I figured I should probably do it if I really want, you know, people to join the conversation with this QA stuff. And if they don't, they don't. It's really not a big deal for me, just because I want this to be a sort of a record, you know, an archive of
Those are the herbs Odessa needs.
People being able to, you know, look at this, and hopefully these lessons still stay true 10 years from now. I mean, I started QA back in 2005? I can't remember. It was 5 or 6. Yeah, and a lot of the lessons I learned then still hold true today. Okay, I should probably actually be looking for actual bugs instead of just playing the game. Got a little distracted, sorry. Alright, so I need to try and die. That's going to be my first lesson, or my first thing to do in this mission. And a good way to die would probably be staying in here.
Don't want to be caught here.
I'll end you.
And like I said before, like QA is not always fun because the fun thing to do right now would be to kill all these guys and play the game as I would normally play it at home, but I'm not at home.
We need reinforcements. I like the pressure.
No, don't light the brazier, just kill me. Stabby McStab. Alright, one more. One more. You got this. I believe in you. Bam, there we go. Okay. I'm not sure if a failure pass is going to be all that successful in finding bugs when it comes to Assassin's Creed because they use a very, very simple save system where it's basically almost like a save state. Alright, cool. Well, I hope you get it, Jerry. I'll pull him for you. Hopefully you'll be more on the testing rather than player support. But both are good.
The city of pigs.
Okay, cool. Well, I don't think there's a way to leave the mission area because I think it's just sort of like one of those wide missions. Well, hopefully you work in an area that has some options because where I work, the only option, like I don't live there anymore, but I used to live in Champaign, Illinois, U.S. I'm not quite sure what country it might be based out of, but I used to work for Volition as a tester and a designer. Volition made Saints Row games, Red Faction games. I also worked for, basically I worked for THQ and Deep Silver, and then THQ again. Actually, whenever they were acquired by THQ again, I wasn't there anymore, but anyway. So yeah, it's, I've worked as a tester and designer for them. And they were really the only game in town, like they're the only place around, like they were the only place within, like, we see the next closest place is, well, I mean, I guess I could go to St. Louis, but that'd be a long commute too. That's like 2.5 hours from where I'm at. Oh yeah, Stalker Series is great. It's pretty cool that THQ came back though. I like it. Hopefully it's under better management this time. Last time it's something you saw a lot in the early, late 90s, throughout the 2000s, 2000-aughts. Is people who knew very little about video games, who were making big decisions about video game companies. Sorry, this might be a little noisy. I gotta get my charger. Oh, sorry about that. Like I said, it'll be a little noisy. Get my charger for my headphones. They're dying. I think I left them on last night. There we go. Okay. Alright, sorry about that, y'all. For Jerry and for anybody who may be watching the future, the archive. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so I died. I don't know. Can't think of much else. If you can think of anything else to do with the objectives, I could try and kill the blacksmith or the whatchamacallit dude. I don't know if I can, but we'll give it a shot. Yeah, Stalker 2 hopefully is really, really good. I mean, Stalker is one of those games that, for me, it started off as a way to sort of bridge the gap between Fallout releases, but it quickly became
That merchant should be the one Odessa mentioned.
Basics of testing is one of the things that you really just want to remember is don't you're not playing the game. You're trying to break it. One of the biggest things is you want to oh, that's a good question. Thank you. So basically, in my experience, and it might be different for every developer, in my experiences, when it comes to QA, you're put on a team. So, like, say if I were, QA tester, or not QA tester, but an art tester, I would go. Oh, I can just bring the items back to Odessa. I didn't even have to buy them. That's cool. But anyway, so if I were an art tester, they would say, all right, they would have a big map on the wall probably, and they would look at, carve off pieces of it, and they would say, all right, you're in, well, let's go where I'm at now. You're in Megaris today, and you would turn on your camera coordinates. You would walk around and just stare at things. Not stare at them, but you would just do this. One of the things an art tester does too is they try to get out of the world any way they can, because there's lots of times you'll see gaps in the world. You'll see what we call open seams, which are like little spots in the ground or on the wall or something like that where things don't quite come together. And then once you gather the bug, you can have two choices. You can either just document it right then, or you can just sort of document it for yourself, take screenshots, note the location, stuff like that, and then bug it at the end of the day. So like just sort of compile all of your stuff together and then bug it later, which is what I usually did, because whenever I was coming up in QA, not everybody had their own PC. There was a very real problem with QA not having enough equipment. Because I'll get into this story here in a minute, but yeah, basically everyone had to share PCs. Like, you were lucky if you had to share your PC with only one other person. So you would basically compile all your stuff with screenshots and stuff at the end of the day, because there was a command, like a console command. You would hit tilde and open up your command and said like save underscore screenshot, I think is what it was. And then it would save it to your the hard drive of your Xbox. Or whatever console you were currently working on, and then you would sort of extract it later in the day, and then you would bug it. Luckily now, I think most QA departments everybody has their own equipment, which is great. So you could do it right then and there if you wanted. Bring it back to Odessa. Let's go and try to die again. All right, so and then that's pretty much the long and short of it. Now, all your other departments, you would do different things. Like say if you were mission testing, you would say, all right, you have mission 1 through mission 7 or something like that. Or you would have your job today is to try and beat all the legendary or the mythical creatures in the game. Stuff like that. But that being said, you're supposed to bug everything you see. Like, too many people's got of the mind that, like, oh, I'm a mission tester and I saw this art bug, I'm going to leave it because it's not on me. And I'll probably end up covering a lot of this in future videos. One of my biggest pet peeves whenever I was testing, this looks slightly buggable. Sorry, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, is people would use the term known issue. That is one of the biggest pet peeves for me. Is there would be like a gameplay bug or some kind of bug where people would see it, everybody in the department would see it, and they would say, oh, it's a known issue. And whenever I actually moved on to a different project to help out with THQ testing that wasn't Volition for a while, and I came back and people were like, oh, I would come into like this bug that was really annoying and frustrating, and I'll be like, well, has it been bugged? And they're like, oh, it's a known issue, like everybody knows about it. I'm like, well, is it documented? Is it actually in the system as a bug? They're like, oh, we don't know. And then I would search, and lo and behold, it's not bugged. Like, everybody knew about it, but nobody bugged it. And that was just because it sort of blurred the lines between which department it should be in, which was really, really frustrating. And they're like, oh, well, the developers know about it. I'm like, well, I'm going to bug it, because they're like, oh, no, don't bug it. They know about it. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to bug it because that's my job. Luckily, I had some veterancy at that point, some seniority, so I was able to just pretty much do what I wanted at that point. So I went ahead and just bugged it, and the developer quickly got in touch with me and asked how long has this been going on, because we had no idea. And yeah, that was that. And they were very frustrated by the fact that it took so long to get it, into the system as being a bug. And yeah, so was I, frustrated. But yeah, we ended up getting it fixed. Actually, I would call this a bug right here. This tree probably shouldn't be here. I'm going to take a screenshot. Save as. Let's see, QA. But yeah, that's just one of many stories. But let me go ahead and document this, and I'll tell you guys another thing that you'll have to look out for in QA. Let's see, what is today? Today is the 3rd. 5/3/2019. Tree in stone. Let's get a shot of the map. Like I say, usually you would have, console command that would show you the location. Zoom in as far as we can go. Yeah, it's right outside of the... hang on, I don't want to do that. I want to... Usually I don't want that big thing in the way, but it's right outside the entrance, so I figured it'll probably pretty obvious. Map. Cool. Alright, there's that. Alright, so I'll be honest, like with QA, okay, whenever you're like a designer or programmer or something like that, you can sort of put a cap on the day. A lot of times you can say, hey, all right, I fixed this bug, or I was trying to do this in the combat system, I got it done, now I get to go home, or something like that. QA, the job will never be done. There's no such thing as a bug-free game, and your job is ongoing. Your pay will not be great. But it's still awesome job. Like, I absolutely loved the job. Do I wish it were, better pay and stuff like that? Sure. But that's going to lead me into the story. One of the things you have to look out for whenever you're in QA at a lot of game studios, and this may not be all, this was just the ones that I worked at. QA is considered second-class citizens. Like, you will not be treated very well. A lot of developers will look down on you as skillless, entry-level, not real game developers type people. And I think one of the big reasons for that is because a lot of the developers went to school for, went to college for like 6 years, or 4 years, or whatever it may be, and that's how they got their job. But QA, you're able to get your foot in the door by not really having a whole lot of education, and that's fine. I mean, that's how I started. I didn't have a college degree whenever I started. I mean, I do now, but I would argue that I learned far more from my days in QA than I did in college. My college, with everything I learned, because I went to college after I started in QA, and I would say I learned in QA in about, I don't know, 6 months of QA was more than the whole of my time in college. And I went to school for game design. So yeah, I think QA is absolutely wonderful. I think every developer should do some time in QA. I mean, they won't, but I think it really behooves you to do some QA work, because it really helps you see how all the systems come together. If game development were a car, there would be like the programmers, or the computer system, the designers, maybe the engine, or the artist, maybe the engine, stuff like that. Like, it's all different parts. If the game development were a car, then I would call QA the tires. It's where literal rubber meets the road kind of thing. Well, not literal, but you know what I mean. In this analogy, it's literal. Yeah, that's where it is. It's like that's where it all comes together and actually touches the road, and that's helpful to know. Like, being able to see it from that standpoint is incredibly important. But yeah, you'll be treated as a second-class citizen in some places. You'll not be paid particularly well. Other developers will look down on you. Some of them might not even, see you as developers, even though you are a very, very important part of the development process. And one of the reasons that besides this sort of whole entry level and, you know, you're looked at that way is because you're kind of breaking their stuff. Like they try to make something really nice and fun and, you know, cool for the player, and QA comes in and says, all right, here's everything wrong with what you made. Like, here's everything you did wrong. And it's kind of hard for them not to get defensive that way, and I kind of get that. But it's something you just kind of have to deal with, you know. And I would say most developers are actually cool with it, you know. But there is sort of that vocal minority whenever it comes to, you know, the programmers, the other designers and stuff like that, that will crap on you. I still remember one story in particular. Whenever there was a blood drive at our studio, and you know, I try to be a good guy, so of course I went to the blood drive. And there was a bunch of chairs set up, and I was giving blood in one of the chairs, and I heard some people having a conversation. You know, no big deal. We were getting ready to open up our own QA building. It was a building that was sort of across the street, and one of the, you know, I think she was an artist. They were talking about the new building, and they were like, oh, have you been over there yet? She's like, no, I haven't been over there, but I bet you it smells. I mean, the QA people always smell as it is, and you know, good thing we're getting them out of the building because I can't really stand them being around, you know, because some of the conversations they have are so stupid. And, you know, she just went on and on and on about just how we were scum, how we just did not exist to her as human beings. And then I sort of leaned forward, and she made eye contact with me, and she knew I was a tester because I'd been there for a number of years at that point, and I was there when she started. And I was like, well, how embarrassing for you. I'm sitting right here. And she kind of just, you know, chuckled and laughed it off, and then literally pulled the needle out of her arm and walked away. I guess she was embarrassed. I don't know. But, I mean, yeah, you'll have to put up with stuff like that. I can tell you more stories. I guess I'll tell you one more, but there's plenty. There were frequent, like, giveaways, like, hey, you know, we're done with all these Xbox 360 development kits, you know, and this was back whenever the 360 was only out for like a year or two. I mean, like, we got brand new Xbox 360 development kits. We have to get rid of the old ones. We're gonna have a, you know, a raffle, or not a raffle, but you know, a lottery to see who gets one if everybody wants one. And then straight up said, all right, QA, you're not involved. Like, you don't get to be part of this raffle, or, you know, this giveaway. I go, okay, why not? And they're just like, well, you just can't. Okay. There was things like, all right, everybody gets a Johnny Gat bobblehead except for QA. You know, everybody gets this new T-shirt that we got made, except for QA. I mean, you'll hopefully not have to put up with that. I don't know if it's still that way there. I know it was that way whenever I started. I think it's probably gotten better at this point, because a lot of people from QA have moved on to, you know, moved on to other positions. Like, you know, a lot of designers came from QA, you know, a lot of programmers came from QA, stuff like that. So hopefully it's gotten better there, but you know, that's something you might have to deal with. Long hours is another thing you'll have to definitely deal with. This is no exaggeration. At one point I worked a 120-hour week when we were in crunch. That was really rough. That was me not going home. That was me sleeping on the couch or sleeping under my desk. Yeah, it got pretty crazy. And really, there's a big conversation about that going on in the game industry right now. And I'm kind of split on it because whenever I was younger, yeah, it was great. I was like, yeah, this is a young man's game. I totally understand that. It's a fun job. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's great. I love, you know, low pay didn't bother me because I absolutely loved what I was doing every day. I say I got to go to work today instead of I had to go to work today. It was absolutely wonderful. I absolutely loved my job, pretty much everything about it. Even the long hours didn't really bother me. It was totally worth it. But at this point, I have a family, and I don't know if I'd be able to do that anymore. I don't know if I'd be able to do that job. Don't get me wrong, I'd probably love to, but it wouldn't be a good, you know, home situation for me to work those long hours again. And hopefully they figure something out that's good for all parties involved in the game industry that will let, you know, people still keep their dream job and at the same time have a life outside of game development. as I know that's a really big point of contention right now in the game industry. And hopefully they figure it out. I used to sit and think that, you know, big deal. It's a crunch. You know, it happens. It's part of the industry. You're not going to get away from it. There's a product. There's a deadline, and if you don't make the deadline, you got to crunch. That's what it is. And it's really not that easy. Simple. One of the big things is, and this is going to sound kind of like it's a complicated situation because I remember whenever I worked at Volition, there was a problem. Let's say where let's just say people were being super lazy. Sorry, I'm telling more stories than I am actually doing QA. I'm sorry about that. Where people were lazy. Like I would be able to go, you know, take a walk down the hallway, and I would look inside the, you know, another designer's office where there's like, you know, 5 people to a room or something like that, and everyone just be playing Rock Band, which is fine. You know, notice they're on their break or something like that. That's fine. But I would walk by an hour later, still playing Rock Band. An hour later again, still playing Rock Band. Like they would literally be playing Rock Band all day. Or they'd be playing some other game all day, or they'd be watching movies, or they'd be doing something not related to work. And then whenever crunch came around, they were the first people to complain about, oh, well, you know, we just can't do all this work in this amount of time. You know, you can't crunch us to death like this. I, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like that's that you can't complain whenever you've been lazy this entire time. But anyway, let's get back to doing QA. Sorry about that. Should we post that bug? I feel like we should post that bug we found, even though it's just a art bug. We'll go ahead and post it. And that's really what you're going to find the most of. But if you're an art tester, you're going to have like, I mean, I had about 100 bugs a day, but I wouldn't expect anybody to do that. That was me working crazy hours and doing crazy stuff to get those. You're probably going to end up more accurately coming to like, you know, 30 to 50 bugs a day. So let's go ahead and keep looking around. Oh, and that's another thing you'll have to deal with. And I had a bit of an existential crisis. I'm not sure if I'd call it that, but a bit of a crisis whenever it came to QA is I realized I sort of had this mind at one point. I had a little bit of a panic. I'm like, man, this job is basically me ruining the game, making it not fun. And what I mean by that is if someone came up with a really cool system, like, oh man, that's a lot of fun and it's really awesome, but it's also incredibly buggy, like really, really buggy. And I'd bug it to the point where production would take a look at it and be like, man, it's a cool system, but it's too much work, so we're gonna have to cut it. So yeah, it's a cool job, and I really love doing it. But yeah, it's rough to think that this really cool system that could have had the potential to make our game stand out and be awesome is now cut because I busted my ass and broke it in so many ways. That's really depressing when that happens. But really, one of the things you have to realize whenever you start doing QA is it's not your job to make that call. It's production's job to sit and assess and everything and say, all right, well, this could be really cool, so we need to put that in the time and effort. And, you know, that's their job to figure it out. It's our job to break it. And hopefully they get to the point where they can figure it out. And, yeah, it won't be a big deal. And, you know, they decide, hey, it's worth putting in the time and effort for this. So, but anyway. Let's go and bug that bug. I feel like I'm rambling a lot today, and I apologize for that. But yeah, daily basis, basically, you'll find bugs, post them, repeat. Usually the first thing I did in the morning, and you might do this as well, you get in, you grab a new build of the game, or hopefully your build process is automated. That's really ideal. If it's not automated, you'll come in, you'll grab a new build, take about 20 minutes or so, get your coffee and stuff like that while it's doing that. Yeah, that's pretty much how that works. But if it's automated, you can get in and just start working right away. Let's see, where did I put that? Oh yeah, QA. Today, right here. We're gonna search for. Let's search for, what is it? Attica? Yeah, Attica. Usually I do this with 2 monitors, but you know, you guys can't see 2 monitors. Search form. Let's say attic. I feel like I'm going to get a lot back with this. Probably too much. Oh, that's actually not bad. Update. Endless mercenaries. Fragment. Cannot complete ancient steely. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, breaking the game is a lot more enjoyable than having to deal with complaints about it. Not sure what you mean by 21.9. Sorry, Jerry. Okay, let's go ahead and doesn't look like there's anything there, so let's go ahead and post it. We are gonna go ahead. Oh, aspect ratio, gotcha. Oh wow, yeah, that's ultra wide. That'd be nice. Yeah, I would love that. It's level design, but all the rest of the stuff is wrong. Tree placement. Let's see. Tomb of Teocles. Yeah, hopefully the resolution looks okay. It looks all blurry on my screen, but hopefully it's better for you guys. Does it look okay for you, Jerry, or is it kind of blurry? Location, Attica, sacred. Okay, give me a minute and I'll make it full screen. Let me go, actually. Sacred. God, that's really hard to read. That looks like really bad. That's really low. Yeah, that's right, Jerry. That's it. My internet's kind of crazy bad. Let's see. Sacred Plane of Demeter. No, don't do that. Oh, you meant like, okay. I see what you're saying. Dang it, I just want to zoom in over here. OBS, settings, output. I've got it 2000 bit rate. CBR, I don't know if there's a different, better. I don't know much about this technical stuff when it comes to streaming. Don't have it set to replay or, rescale. 2000 CPU usage. I don't know. Is there like a medium? Maybe I should switch it to medium. I don't know. Go ahead and set to medium. Yeah, do medium. Maybe that'll help. Okay. Preview. Where's the preview? Preview, maybe? Canvas. Oh God, what have I done? Oh no. let's not do the preview. Scale to window. There we go. Oh, all right. Let's see. Full screen. Nope. Yeah, this is. I apparently have no idea what I'm doing. All right, I'll continue working on this bug. Sacred Plane of Demeter. Make sure I spelled everything right. Alright. Tree placed in the stone walkway I think that's pretty much all we really need to say. Is it looks odd. This looks real weird. Oh God, come on, Google Drive. I set you to start on Windows Startup, but you know work right. Me going through. Oh, that might be why it doesn't look too good. I forgot I turned on my VPN. I should probably turn that off whenever I try to stream from now on. If I turn it off now, it's gonna mess up a lot of stuff. Right click the preview window, transformation, set it full screen. Maybe mine's out of date. I don't see a transformation. Set to full screen. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it looks okay for now, I'm not gonna worry too much about it. We'll touch base, Jerry, and we'll get it figured out. Copy link to clipboard. So I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to show you more QA stuff so you can nail that job, buddy. I'm here for you. Okay, I'll give that a shot here in a second. One thing that I would recommend everybody who's interested in getting a QA job do, like as soon as you can, is like really have good. I mean, you probably already do have good one, but just to be sure, have really good written communication. That's one thing that they're definitely going to look at is your spelling, grammar, and really like 99% of spelling and grammar mistakes could be fixed with just proofreading. I know proofreading is a pain in the butt. I hate proofreading. It is not fun. It is terrible. And yeah, it's not fun thing to do. But that being said, got to do it. Most of your problems can be fixed via proofreading. And I probably should and I didn't even proofread that. I had that bug like I just got done talking about. Oh god. Anyway, let's see. Set to full screen. Fit to screen maybe? Stretch to screen? Center to screen? Not quite sure how to do that. Alright. Well, back to QAing stuff. Thank you for your help, Jerry. I appreciate it. It's much obliged. Okay. Let's go ahead and kill these fools. Okay, I see what you're saying. So it is making changes. It's just I'm not seeing them because it's so tiny. Got it. Alright. Alright, caves are a really good place to find, resource places that cannot be reached. This is the kind of thing you would do. You would think, like, is this art testing or is this gameplay testing? The answer is, it is both. It is probably going to fall to art, something like this, going and trying to make sure you can pick up every resource point. Someone would probably have to make that pass like once a month at least to make sure you can gather every resource point. And one important thing is something called regression. As whenever you find a bug, you document it, the developer says they fixed it, and then they're like, all right, they send the bug back to you saying, hey, it's fixed, please regress. And then you'll go back and then try to find it. Like you'll try to reproduce the bug. And if you can't reproduce it, hey, it's fixed. You'll close it out. If you manage to reproduce it without issue, then hey, guess what? It's not fixed. And then you send it right back to the developer and say, hey, yeah, this is not fixed. Cave resource point. All right. And we will zoom in. Pretty well zoomed in. Print screen. And save as. Cave resource point. I probably should actually use the actual name of the cave, but the developer's not really going to usually pay attention to the going to pay attention to this name of the screenshot. They usually could not care less. But yeah, this is a good way to find a lot of bugs for this particular game. Is just turn on your little pulse thing, look for resource points. Sorry if you guys can hear that. That's my stomach making noise. I haven't eaten yet today. And one thing you want to do, so I went ahead and documented that resource point not being able to reach it. But one thing you want to make sure is like there's not like an extra thin wall that you can just go to the other side and grab it. That it's just sort of like, you know, finding it through the wall, which I'm pretty sure that's not the case on this one, but I'll check to be sure. Okay. But yeah, I hope you, if you don't get the one that you're going for, I hope you live near other game developers. That will give you a shot. I mean, really, I'll be completely honest, I should not have gotten my QA job that I got. One of the things, I don't know actually how long I'm going to stream for. Probably until my wife gets home. I think she's probably going to be home here in about half an hour or so. But if you'd like me to do more streams and stuff like that, just let me know. Streams are kind of weird just because like I feel like I'm not teaching you guys very much whenever I do streams. I feel like you're just watching me play the game and we talk about QA. But if you find them helpful, I'll do them. As much as I can, which is probably going to be about once a week. Yeah. Ooh, that'd be awesome. CG Product Red, that would be amazing. But one thing that's really, really important besides being able to, you know, have good communication skills and stuff like that is passion. I'll be first to admit, I should not have gotten my QA gig. Like, I absolutely 100% should not have gotten it because I was not qualified in any way. I had terrible spelling and grammar. I didn't have anything resembling any experience in the industry, which, you know, QA is kind of your foot in the door to get that experience, but I digress. Like, I was pretty terrible at all technical skills. I didn't know the first thing about game development. Yeah, it was not, I should not have gotten it, but I got it because I was so passionate about games. Like, I told them how much I loved games, how much I wanted to work in the industry, how, like, that was, like, the most important thing in the world to me at that point. I was like, man, I want to work in the game industry, and I will work so hard. Like, this means so much to me. And they're like, all right, well, we'll give you a chance. And I don't want to sound conceited or full of myself, but I ended up being one of their best testers, you know, for the years that I was being a tester there. Like, I really honestly think I put up some of the best numbers. I found some of the bugs that were sort of plaguing the game that were difficult to track down. Like, I bet you, they straight up told me, the manager and the manager that came after him, that they were really happy that you know, that I was given the chance, and so was I. I mean, it changed my life, and I absolutely love that they gave me that shot, and I owed them a lot for that, and I still do. Like, I feel like if they called me today and said, hey, we want you to come back as QA, I would say, can I do it remotely, because I can't do it. I can't move there again, but if they were willing to do that, yeah, I'd do it for them in a heartbeat. You know, I owe those guys a lot. But anyway, Techland would be really cool. I mean, it sounds like you've got some pretty good options, man. You should definitely partake if you can. Like, those are some great companies. I mean, I don't know what it's like to work for them, but I know there's some great. They make some great games. Yeah, I mean, I think that'll serve you well. That'll serve you well there, Jerry. You'll want to let them know how passionate you are, because that is super, super important to a game developer. Because, I mean, eventually, like, if you hire somebody, if somebody takes a job because they like the pay, eventually the pay won't be enough. Money is not a good reason to keep going for a job that, especially a job like in game development, because in game development, it'll burn you out real fast if you don't love the work. If you don't love what you're doing, you will get burnt out super fast, and you will quit super fast. But if you're passionate and love the work, well, that's good. That's good, because you don't care about money, because you won't get a lot of it in QA. Yeah, it's a great time. And QA, I think, will teach you better about game development than even just jumping straight into like design or programming or something like that. I think QA is by far the best discipline to teach you how game development actually works, because you get to see how it all comes together. You get to see how programming and design and art and VFX and all these systems come together. Yeah, passion is super, super important. I think they appreciate that probably more than anything else. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I mean, to be honest, like I didn't care about money whatsoever when I first started off, but then I got married, and I love my wife to death, but she's a bit of a gold digger. She thinks every dollar she gets is not enough. But anyway, let's not get into my personal issues. Also, I got a kid now too. That doesn't help things. They're expensive. Yeah, let's not get too in the weeds on that personal stuff. But yeah, it's QA is not going to get you a lot of money, but there's something more important than money, more valuable than money, and I honestly think my time in QA is worth that. Like, God bless my wife for putting up with me having to be gone for so long all the time. Like, she had to stay in that house basically by herself for so many days and hours just because I was off working. QA is a good time though. Alright, we only found the one resource point that was unreachable so far, which is kind of rare. Most caves that I go into and look, I'm able to find at least like 4 or 5. Sure, Jerry. Being a game designer, it was kind of an interesting thing just because there's no such thing as an idea man in game development. That just doesn't happen. I mean, sure, some guys can get away with it. Like, you got big names like Peter Molyneux and whatchamacallit, Shigeru Miyamoto. You've got people who've earned the right to be an idea man. Like they just come up with ideas. That's all they do, kind of thing. What you're gonna want to do is learn a hard skill like programming or scripting or something along those lines, or art. That way, because a lot of developers don't want just a designer. They want someone who has some skills. But if you don't want to do that, the best thing to do would be make a game on your own. Just make it. Doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to look good. It just has to play good. Just go into like Unreal 4, go into Unity, go into something, and then make a game maker, whatever it may be, and then make a game. That's the best thing to do. And build a portfolio is really the big thing. Portfolios are super, super important for getting hired as a designer. But most of your time, and I was really surprised when I got to Volition, is so many of those designers had no idea how to program. Like, I learned to program to become a designer. And yeah, a simple 2D game would be fine as long as it plays well. I think that's really what they're looking for, is that you have the stick-to-itiveness, the willingness to make a game, especially on your own. That's hard to do. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, it's a good time. When my day-to-day as a designer, and I was really surprised when I got to Volition, is so many of the designers had no idea how to program. Like, so many of them were just, I don't know what's the best way to put it. They just had no hard skills. Like, they would be like, oh, I have an idea for this level, and like they would have no idea how to put it together. Like, or I have an idea for this mechanic, and and like, one of the reasons I started to learn programming is to become a designer. And I wouldn't call myself a good designer, but at least I have the basics down. Or I'm not a good designer, but I am a good designer. I wouldn't call myself a good programmer. Yeah, but at least I had the basics down. And a lot of people feel that way, Jerry. I'm not sure if there's some kind of extenuating circumstance for you, but I know tons of people say, "Oh, programming is not for me." I will tell you that starting off, it makes no sense whatsoever. For hours and hours and hours and hours, for like maybe even weeks and months. It will just make no sense. You'll be like, I don't get how to do this. This makes no sense. I will never be able to program. I'll be honest, like, eventually it'll just click. Like, it makes no sense for me to say it that way, but you'll just sort of be, having in the shower kind of moment. You'll be like, I'm just not going to get this. And you'll sit there beating your head over it. And eventually you'll be like, Oh, wait a second. Now I kind of get it, and it's really hard to explain that sort of aha moment, but it will happen as long as you stick to it. And that's really the important part. Is just nose to the grindstone, sticking with it. Yeah, you're not going to get it. You're going to sit there and you're going to just, work and work and work and work, and it's not going to make any sense. And you're going to be frustrated, and eventually it's just going to click. Really, to be a designer, you just need to know the basics. You need to know, and I've always said that programming teachers tend to be the worst teachers or the worst programmers, one or the other. I usually have a pretty good analogy that I like to give to people to help them learn how to program. And I taught a lot of people when I was at Volition how to, the basics of programming just by, giving them this analogy. Is I always tell them a lot of programming is all about variables, making variables for various things. If you have a question, make a variable. If you're not sure how to do something, I'll bet you the answer is to make a variable. And a variable is basically just a sort of something that can change within the game. Like say my health. My health is at 100. It's a variable. So like if I get hit, subtract 100 from my health. And there, not 100 from my health, but like 10 from my health. There, I just made a variable, and that's a variable that's changed whenever an enemy's attack contacts my dude. Then change my health by 10. But that's not the analogy. The analogy I give is imagine you're in an office setting, like you're working for an office, and you have been charged with finding out everybody's birthday so you can make a birthday party, calendar. So what you're going to do, you're like the game in this scenario. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate on two things at once. But you're sort of the game in this scenario. What you're going to do is everybody has their age and their birth date. That is their variable. That is their private variable. That is not public knowledge. So it is a variable that is theirs and theirs alone. That is something that changes, not from year to year, like their age does, but that's pretty much it. But anyway, from year to year, their age changes, and that's their private variable. Nobody else knows about it. You don't know about it. And then it's sort of like on their driver's license. That's all private. What you need to do is you need to contact them and have them make it a public variable. What they'll do is they will tell you the variable, they will declare it to you, and then suddenly you will have their public variable, which is their birthday. And then you store that into your little calendar, and then you sort of set a calendar reminder of, all right, so today is May 3rd. If May 3rd has any birthdays, do this, throw a birthday party. So you're asking an if statement, which is something you'll do a lot in programming. You will say, if May 3rd, or if birthday is May 3rd and today is May 3rd, you're asking if those two things are correct, throw a birthday party. So like if Jerry's birthday is on May 3rd, you're checking against a variable, you're saying if this variable is today, which it is, May 3rd, and if Jerry's public, global variable, which is his birthday, is also May 3rd. Do this. Throw a birthday party. That's sort of like almost two if statements in one. So you're checking for the date and you're checking for the thing. And it's also equating, what's on your driver's license with variables. So my height, weight, eye color, all that stuff, private variable. It's all on my driver's license. And then once I give it to you, it is a public variable or a global variable I have given to you. I have made that public. I know it's a lot to wrap your head around, but that is sort of how variables, the basics of variables in programming work. Is you've got this thing, this piece of information that you want to do something with, that you want to have something happen with. So it's the same thing with video games. Like if I have 100 health, I want to make sure that whenever I get hit, that I take that health away. You'll say, if Alexios is contacted by an enemy, by an enemy's attack, subtract 10 health from my variable, from my health variable. And that's basically all programming. That's the basics of programming, is, just asking questions, and if something is true, do this. Subtract from this variable, change this variable, save this variable. Like a lot of it's just variables.
Come
I
on,
mean,
come on.
that's an incredibly simplistic way of putting it. I totally realize that. I should probably do some QA. God, dang it, Jerry, you got me off on a tangent again. Go save, dude. Save and loading is tough. I wouldn't really learn C++ proper, to be honest. If you're looking to be a designer, don't. Unless you're talking about like in Unity. I mean, I think Unity uses C++. But yeah, that's one thing I always really struggled with is save game and load game. Like that's tough. That's a pretty deep cut into like if you're working as a designer by yourself, yeah, you're gonna have to know how to do that. But if you're working at a big company, you're not gonna need to know how to do that. All right, let's keep doing Q day. Wonder if I can kill Odessa. Let's try that. Wonder if there's a warp point closer. Yeah, this is closer. Boop. I got off on tangential. I'm not even doing QA anymore. Thanks, Jerry. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just playing with you. Thank you for coming and helping today. I appreciate it. All right, dude. Thanks for asking questions and stuff. I appreciate that. It's nice to have somebody to talk to instead of just, not. Grab my horse. Yeah, because usually I would just be sort of sitting here talking to myself. Trying to come up with things to talk about. But it's nice to have you there to help me out with that, so thank you. Wonder if I can get Odessa to be killed by this wolf. And that's sort of the weird things you try to do whenever you're doing this kind of thing. Doing QA, you want to see what you can do to break things. Like, I just brought that wolf into camp. Maybe that'll screw something up if he kills everybody. Maybe it would screw something up if that chicken killed somebody. I don't know. God, I need to get some health back. I don't think Odessa can die. Maybe she can. I don't know. Shazam! Alright. Now I'm going to leave. Actually, I'm going to leave the mission area while this is happening. This is another thing to test. Let's see what happens.
Come on.
Let's switch to my assassin loadout. There we go. I'll bet you this breaks something whenever, like if I go far enough away and then come back,
I should try to stay out of sight.
it's going to ruin my save, I'll bet, but, when you're doing QA, you can't worry about that kind of thing. I got older saves I can load, if need be. Gonna finish this camp, warp away, or fast travel somewhere, and then fast travel back. We'll see what happens. But even if it doesn't break something, this is the kind of thing you'll do if you're doing mission testing. You'll want to sort of stress the things that are happening. And you know what? That's one of the things that's kind of one of the reasons I kind of had to panic a little bit. Is like, man, why am I running this test? No one's ever going to do this. Like what player is going to do this? The answer is you'll be surprised. I got really surprised at how many players do some really weird stuff. And yeah, it's strange. But you know, you've got to account for it. If the and that, again, that's not our job. That's up to the publisher, or not publisher, but the production staff to decide what's buggable and what's they should keep and what they shouldn't. You know, what should be fixed and what shouldn't be. Why can't I? What? I couldn't assassinate that guy. That was weird. Bugworthy. If I had more time, I would probably do my buffer and investigate why that was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege is pretty notorious for that. Any competitive game, really, people do some really weird stuff to try and break it. So yeah, it's not up to QA to try and decide whether it's fixable or not, you know, but rather it's up to production. I'll bet you another thing is I wonder if I could do the objective for another quest while that quest objective is active, because that's like a pretty I would probably want to test both, like, independently. So let's go ahead and make a manual save, actually. I kind of want to try both. So save, create new save. Hey, it might handle both just fine, for all I know. Sorry, my cat's climbing on me, so if it gets kind of weird noise, sorry. I'm trying to get her off now. Sorry, I'm moving my mic because my cat's trying to play with it. There we go. Hopefully you can still hear me okay. Okay, let's go help Odessa. I wonder if they'll still be there. But yeah, I can try this. I can try doing what I said before, doing another objective quest.
Watch my step around here.
I can try completely playing like a ton of stuff through the objective. I can do a conquest battle during this objective. Like, I can do a bunch of different stuff. Oh, he's still here. Wow, okay. She's just kind of chilling over here, though. See what happens. Oh, he got killed by the wolf. Or the wolf killed him, I mean.
I'm ready for you.
She's not doing anything. I would bug this. Oh, never mind. She's trying to do something. I was going to say I'll bug this. Here's her dad. I'm going to kill her dad. Nope. Okay. I think it might say something bad about me, that the first thing I jump to always is, you know, maybe I could kill this person. Maybe maybe death is the answer. Ooh. Alright, I would definitely do the same thing here, too, actually. I would warp away. I would come back. I would change a bunch of different things. I wonder if I could...
These men
No?
work for
Okay.
the leader of
I said, I wonder if I
Megaris.
could move his body into
Seems like
somewhere I can't
Odessa's
get
been
to
causing
it,
some problems
but it
for
makes you
them.
loot it.
And they're also after
No
her
worries.
father's estate.
We're gonna load that save. Manual save, that is. And maybe through a save loading. Yeah, maybe that'll break it. That'll be another thing you probably want to try for every single mission objective is
Maybe I should lie low for a while.
uh, save and load in every single one. Some of the common questions that I got during my QA interview, I'm sure you probably went through your interview, but were, you know, obviously the cliche of, where do you see yourself in 5 years? My answer was still here. If I get hired, I plan on dying on my desk, kind of thing. But no, it's but like what they said, what do you think would be like the hardest thing to test in a game? What kind of type of game do you think would be the hardest to test? I said RPG just because there's so many numbers, so many variables, so many, you know, things going on numbers wise that it's going to be hard to sort of keep track of all of them. I'm not sure if that's what they were looking for or not. Let's see, what else did they ask? They asked me a lot about like my passion for games. Like, do you really like games a lot or something like that? Please give an example of why you like games so much. I made some inappropriate jokes about how I really love games. um, Probably don't do that. It was a different time, 2005. But yeah, I mean, just make sure they know how much you love games and how much you want to be in the industry, and how much you're willing to let games be ruined for you. I mean, I still love games even to say, even whenever I was playing games for, you know, playing a singular game or testing a game, I still went home and played video games. Like I still love them. All right, so that worked. I'm gonna bet some QA tester already checked this out. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's a really cool job. QA is really fun. I absolutely adore my time in QA. And it wasn't a job for me. For me, it was just pure, like a hobby that I got paid for. It was absolutely great. Come on, follow me. This will be another thing you can test, is trying to... This is another one of those components on the mission testing stream that I was talking about. You'll want to write down this guy as a component, like in your mission testing spreadsheet. You'd be like, all right, he's a component. What all can I do with him? I can kill him, obviously, because that's what they want you to do. Maybe I can try and get him to leave the mission area. Maybe I can try to get him killed by somebody else. I could think about him and all the possible things I could do. I could try and get him in the water. I could jump on my ship while he's running after me. I can... Oh, he's almost dead. I can try and leave the mission area after he's died. With some insider knowledge, I bet you, you know, I can talk to the developers and find out what causes a body to despawn. And then try and do that, see if I can get the game to force his body to despawn somehow. Oh no, I wasn't paying attention. No! I might die from poison, maybe? I don't know if you can die from poison, actually. Oh.
Just give up.
Come on.
Death is coming, Mistio.
Not sure how far I should take this guy.
You are no match for me. I'm impressed you got.
Wonder what he does if I get in the water. He'll probably start shooting at me with like a bow and arrow. Hey, I can find out. Yep, there is a bow and arrow. Damn it. But yeah, just because you don't find a bug, a lot of times uh, QA people think that, oh man, that was a complete waste of time. I didn't find a bug. I would say doing mission testing and not finding a bug is actually pretty good. Like that's a good use of time. Um, Now, sometimes your management team for QA will be kind of like, oh, what'd you do all day? I'm like, well, I tested this, 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 and this. And a good QA manager will look at it and be like, oh, well, I trust this guy, and I fully believe that he was testing. You know, and you might have to earn that right. But yeah, I fully believe that he was testing the whole time, and hey, he is a good tester, and he hit this mission super hard, and if he hit it super hard, and we're gonna fast travel. Oh, we may have found a bug. Hang on, let's see. Okay, I can do it now. Can I fast travel this one? Oh, huh. I would still bug that. Would be a minor bug since it kind of goes away with closing and opening the map. I would need to look at my replay buffer to find out what I did to get that to happen. But yeah, anyway. There's another problem with QA, and I'm probably going to make individual videos on all these. Sorry I haven't had very much in the way of like scripted actual, real videos lately, but I'll get back to them eventually, I promise. But one problem that a lot of QA people, they have like ownership of a bug. Like they think, oh, I found this bug, it's my baby. They either don't want it, like it's a really funny, cool bug, so they don't want it fixed, so they won't bug it. That will get you fired pretty quick. They'll also think, no one else can regress this bug because it's my bug. Don't do that. The bug is not yours. There was one guy we had whenever I first started in QA who would get really angry if somebody went into the level that he was assigned and found bugs. Yeah, it was pretty messed up. He would get super duper angry. He would get like physically threaten people to stay away from his level. Let me see. There's another thing. This is the same guy who at one point, like, there was nobody allowed in the QA pit. That's what we called them, pits. The QA pit after I think it was like 10 p.m. or something like that, and he would stay literally all night long, like just finding bugs. And whenever he was confronted, like in the morning, like, what are you still doing here, man? Like, you can't do this. It's against the law for you to work this long. And he would say, so like, well, I don't want anybody else finding my bugs. They're my bugs, and I don't want anybody else finding them. It's pretty messed up. Yeah. Dude was real weird. He didn't last too long. I'm trying to remember his name. It was Mike something. Can't remember. I think it was Mike something. I don't know. I remember my very first game I ever worked on was a game called The Outfit. It was by Relic, who did the Company of Heroes games, and let me see, what other games that they did? Company of Heroes. They were good RTS developers. Man, I can't remember what else they did. Warhammer? I think they did a Warhammer game. I worked on Company of Heroes as well, but my very first game was The Outfit, and that game had some really neat ideas in it. Really cool ideas. Now, I'm not saying they executed it super well, but it had some really cool ideas in that game. Like, before the, sort of turret defense type genre was even a thing. Like, it wasn't even a genre yet. They had a lot of turret defense aspects to it, which was really cool for the time. That game flopped super hard. I want to say we were the only, like, it was only 4 of us, I think. Yeah, 4 of us on that game, and that's a for a game, a AAA game, that is a really, really small QA team. 4 people. There was 1 lead and 3 testers. It was not a normal size. But they didn't have anybody on multiplayer. Like their multiplayer component, like I don't think they put anybody on that. Like we were single player, strictly single player.
Gideon! Ella. Come on. Yeah.
Got off on a tangent again. That's okay. I'm gonna start looking at these live streams as more just a conversation to be had while playing the game, and if I see a bug bugging it. I should probably bug that resource point. Did I bug it? I don't remember if I bugged it. Crap. I don't think I did. And if you do go into like testing, it'll be more structured than this. Me, I'm just kind of running around. Like I wouldn't call this real QA testing because I'm not focusing on any one particular thing. But like I said in a previous live stream, you know, you're going to be welcomed to do this kind of thing, at least a little bit. Like, you know, go out and play the game normally, see if you can break it, see what you notice, because fresh eyes are super important when it comes to stuff. Like, if you've been hammering on art testing, or if you've been hammering on a mission for a month, and you honestly cannot think of anything new to do with it, someone else could come in and totally, you'll find something new just because they have fresh eyes on it. Remember one of the strangest crash bugs I ever found was on Red Faction Guerrilla. The game was crashing pretty late in the game and like erasing your save, and it was really bad. Like we could not figure out what the problem was. The QA never figured out what the problem was, but I luckily found out how to reproduce it. I don't know what the actual problem was, but how I managed to reproduce it was playing through the game from beginning to end, and it had to be with subtitles on. It was so strange. Like it was a really weird bug. I don't know what subtitles had to do with it, but it would crash in the same spot every single time. You couldn't have reset or quit out of the game. It had to be from beginning to end, and it was right at the end of the game. And subtitles had to be on. Like those were the criteria for reproducing it. And I don't know what the problem was, but I know the developers ended up fixing it. And regressing that bug was a pain in the butt because you had to go from beginning to end, no saving, no loading, subtitles on. Like it was an all-day ordeal to regress that bug. But it was a crash. It was a pretty big crash that erased your save, so it was definitely worth doing. And they fixed it, so that was good. Maybe I'll do Red Faction Guerrilla next time. I love that game. You know, you're putting like thousands of hours into it. And that's another thing people don't realize is, yeah, QA, sometimes QA doesn't do their job. Like, there's lazy people in every discipline, in every industry. And QA is no exception. There's a lot of lazy people out there, and that drives me nuts. Whenever, you know, guys, I remember I would be like, guys, we're lucky to do this job. This job is awesome. And it just could not occur to me at that point in time that there weren't people in the game industry that weren't as passionate as I was. And that's great. Yeah, attention to detail is super important, Jerry. Like that is a very good skill to have, for sure. But yeah, when I first got into the industry, I was so disappointed to find out that there were people in the game industry that weren't as passionate about video games as I was, and that really kind of broke my heart a little bit. And I mean, but the good thing was though is there were like before I got in the industry, I never met anybody who was as passionate as the industry about the industry as I was, and I found a lot of sort of kindred spirits of people who were super into it, and that was great. But yeah, it's yeah. No more to say on that, really. It's a good time. Video games are fun. And making them is awesome. Yeah, you'd be surprised how few people have that ability, Jerry. Like being able to think outside the box, being able to, on the fly, sit there like I was doing before with you know, what can I do with this guy, the ambusher from the Odessa mission. Yeah. I mean, QA really is a mix of both science and art, you know, science and skill. Like, it's both abstract and hard skills. Exactly, exactly. And that's one of the great things about, you know, having that sort of mindset, Jared, is like, if you have that mindset, that creativity, you can carry, like, if you come up with one idea, like, oh, what if I make this, the Odessa ambusher? What if I make him, throw him in the water? Suddenly, I can do that to every single mission-specific NPC in the game. Like, if I thought of this one idea in this one section, I can now apply that to every single mission and have hundreds of more hours of test, you know, test idea, hundreds more hours of, you know, test criteria. That's the word. Criteria, that's a word, right? Okay. Helping healer. Yeah, let's deliver that real quick. That's what I was going to test, is doing other objectives. And then going back to see if he's still there. Alright, got that tracked. Come on. There we go.
Beast Slayer, I'm glad to see you.
Daphne, I didn't think you would be.
The path I set you on is fraught with danger. You could have been killed or given up.
No
Oh,
danger
yeah, let's
could
do
have kept
this.
me from seeing you again.
Maybe you're getting ahead of yourself. Maybe.
The Nemean Lion's Pelt.
Magnificent. As is its hunter.
Strength is powerless in the face of beauty. Even Heracles fell to its sway.
You slay me as easily with your words as your weapons do these beasts.
You haven't seen anything yet.
I don't know why I even do the romance options. It's not like they do anything. I guess if you interrupt her, she can't light her torch. Huh.
Just stay on your best behavior.
Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, people who are interested in design all have that sort of that perfect game in their mind that they really want to make someday. I've got one too, and I was really close to getting it made too, but then we all got laid off. It was really a bummer because me and a bunch of the guys from QA and design, I had programmers, I had everybody lined up to in their free time make this game, and then we all got laid off. When we all kind of just sort of scattered to the wind. It was really a bummer. But anyway. That sounds like a neat game. Yeah, you should definitely look into that. You know, get that made, bud. I believe in you. I already bugged that thing where he jumps out of the ground. That's so goofy looking. I'm surprised that made it past 2A. Yeah, someday you'll get it, man. And hopefully I'll make mine someday. Hopefully we'll be... Yeah, exactly. You gotta have that goal. Like, a lot of times, I've sort of split on the mind. Some people say that you should be happy now, and that way, whenever you reach your goal, it's just more happiness. But I also think goals are super important. I don't think you should just be content where you're at and then not shoot for something higher. Yeah, thanks. Good luck to yours as well. I hope if you ever need some QA or design work, let me know. I'll help you out. But yeah, it's I feel like we've covered a lot of stories today, at least. Let's switch back to my. Probably gonna bail soon. I need to get some food. Yeah, I think that's important to sort of have that high goal of, one day this is what I want to do, and then I think sort of setting the criteria of, all right, this is when I'm going to do it too. Not like necessarily timing wise, but like, hey, all the places are in, all the pieces are in place. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's pull the trigger on this thing. And question is it better for a dream to stay a dream, or is it better to, actually do it? I don't know. There's some value in a dream staying a dream too. It's tough. That's a tough philosophical question that I think is a little too deep to go into on a live stream about video games. Yeah, I mean, being able to have your name in the credits is something. I mean, granted, like probably only you, friends, and family are ever going to see it, kind of thing. But I'm really proud to have my name in the credits of some video games. Like that's a super cool thing. I really, really am proud to say that I put my stamp on this game and I worked on it. Like, it may have not turned out exactly the way we wanted it to, but I'm proud to say that I worked on it. I mean, I don't think the order really matters. I think as long as you're in the credits, you worked on it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. As long as you know you're there, you put your time in, and it's something to be proud of. It really is. Let me see. I can't think of all the games I've been in credits for, but the ones I'm most proud of. I mean, you got Red Faction Guerrilla, Saints Row series, Agents of Mayhem. That was a fun one. Although, man, the development of that, I could tell some more stories about that development. That did not turn out well for. It's like as we were working on it, we knew. Like people seem to think that game developers are unaware of the quality of their game, like that we're just blind to it. No, like every single game that I've ever worked on. No, we know. We know exactly where this game is. Like we don't need to be. It's not a big shocking surprise for us. Why a game gets like reviewed and scored the way it does. Like we know. Agents of Mayhem was fraught with development problems. I'm under NDA for a lot of it, so I can't really talk about it. But just know we suffered some issues that, in the end, probably made the game suffer more than it needed to. And one of the reasons I'm really excited for Volition's next project is a lot of those issues have been resolved. Like a lot of the problems that were being seen are totally done. Oh, thank you. I feel better about you saying that. Because I was a little worried about the fact that I was not showing a lot of QA stuff. More or less just playing the game and telling stories. That's the yeah, that's a good plan. I'll go with that. Faux show. I'll probably tell the story someday of what happened with Agents of Mayhem. It's really not as interesting as I'm making it sound. I feel like that's a weird place for that. If I were actually on their QA team, I'd probably bug that and then totally not be surprised when it gets marked shippable. A lot of art bugs, especially towards the end of a project, will be marked shippable whenever you bug them. Like in the last month or two of a project, that kind of bug, like I wouldn't be surprised if production came to you and said, "Don't bother, just don't even bug it, just don't do it." I'd probably still bug it because it's a job, but I remember we had a problem with that on Saints Row 2, I think is what it was. Is our QA lead, and I should not have done this. I will go ahead and say that I should not have done this, but the lead of my department straight up said, don't bug that. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that, Jerry. I like not having to. I like the live stream being a little more freeform. But anyway, my lead at the time said just don't bug. We had grades. It was like A bug, C bug, C. A, B, C bugs. So like depending on how their severity.
Let me put down.
Um, and he was said don't bug C bugs. Don't bug anything that's minor. And I was like, that's not our job. We still need to bug it. And we had a pretty long discussion about, what we should do. And we sort of stayed in the same thing. So I should not have done, this is the part that I shouldn't have done. I went over his head and talked to his bosses and the production team. Like I said, I had a lot of seniority at this point. I had seniority over him too. The whole reason that he was my lead is because I rolled off of another project to help out with Saints Row 2, and he was already in place as the lead, and I'm not one to really care about hierarchy that much. I don't really care if someone's being my boss. I'm going to listen to him. I have no problem with chain of command. If someone's my boss, I'm going to do what they say, and I'm not going to get all like, oh, I've been here more years than you, I'm not going to listen to you. I don't really care about that. But anyway, yeah, it's hard to know what should be buggable and what shouldn't be. The safe thing is to do is just bug it. Like, if you ever have a question of like, is this a bug? Just bug it. Just don't even worry too much about it. Just bug it. But anyway, I went over his head, and the production team had a meeting with him a little bit later. And then about 10 minutes after his meeting with production, he sent out an email saying that his statement of don't bug things is false, and that we should continue to bug everything. And from that day forward, he really did not like me for understandable reasons. But I'm a big believer that you don't let your personal feelings cloud your judgment on the professional feelings. I actually ended up asking for him on a project later on, even though I really do not like the guy personally. I don't think he's, a particularly good guy or anything like that. In fact, I have pretty actual disdain for him. But he's really, really good at this one type of testing. And I'm like, well, I want him on my team for this particular reason. What sucks is that he didn't have that ability to separate personal from professional feelings, and he refused to really work with me, so yay. Anyway, that's another tangential story. Alright, I feel like I've done enough testing, or done enough stuff to go back and check to see if that objective is broken. So let's go ahead. I'm actually not in the game development scene right now. I left that just a little while ago. And now I work corporate IT for Hyatt Hotels. I do still do the occasional contract work for gaming, for game development, which is cool. I still enjoy doing the contract work for them. That's a fun time. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really do game development and stuff anymore. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I want to go back to game development, but, what are you going to do? You can only do... Where was that objective? Was this it? No. No, I didn't want to have to mark it, but I'll mark it. Oops. But yeah, I plan on getting back into the game industry at some point soon. If you ever want to check my credentials, my name is Daniel Campbell. In case the name of the channel didn't tip it off, Daniel Campbell. I am in, for sure, let me see, like Elements of Destruction, Company Heroes. Although the Company Heroes, you have to have it patched to the latest patch to have my name in it, because they forgot to put us in there. Just another thing about, hey, QA, doesn't matter. Saints Row 1, Saints Row 2, Agents of Mayhem. I think I'm in Saints Row 3. Let me see. But basically a bunch of THQ and Volition games. I mean, once worked the kitchen at McDonald's. I mean, there's no such thing as a bad job as long as you're. Well, I mean, there's bad jobs, but there's no such thing as a job you should be like ashamed for or anything like that. As long as you're out there working, making money, providing for yourself and your family. You know, I'd happily flip burgers at McDonald's again if that's what it took to, you know, keep working and making sure my family has food and shelter and all that stuff. It's important. All right, let's see if this is broken any. Hopefully it hasn't. Like, part of me wants to hope that it's broken. Like the QA part of me, the tester part of me is like, I really hope it broke. That made me so proud to say, hey, I did this and it broke. But you know, the best thing for the game is that it didn't break, and it looks like it didn't break. Darn. But also good. So, but anyway, I think that's going to be it for me today. We're going to go ahead and call that a time. And thanks a lot for joining me, Jerry. I appreciate it. Hopefully you can join me next time. That was a good time. It was good talking to you. And I will see everybody. Actually, should we bug this bug we found first? Let's bug this bug we found first. I want to bug this. Document this bug. Oh, you're very welcome, Jerry. I hope it helps you. I mean, I hope you get that job. That's really cool. Yeah. Let me see. What was it? Just to say we did it. No, we did that one. Yeah, here it is. Entrance to the underworld. We're just gonna search underworld. Underworld. No problem. But anyway, you guys have seen me bug it. I'll let you guys go. And you, Jerry. I guess it's just me and you. Jerry, thank you so much. You've been a delight having you. And I will catch you guys later. Take care.